that film right there. What is happening is you have pieces of light, on the film screen coming in and out of existence on the film screen, which gives the illusion of motion. Here's another example. Okay, here the film starts. See how every moment is still, and then bam. So the first moments you can tell, the first set of frames you can tell are still. The later moments that start right now are the same moments, just sped up. So you can see in this film right here, where there is stillness, now you can see stillness, but then eventually you'll have the illusion of motion right there. Okay, so that is what is being discussed in this quote that I just read. That is, for the Buddhist, all of reality. And I will argue, probably not in much detail today, but elsewhere I have that's what quantum reality is all about also. Okay, so in Strabatsky's quote, several issues are of interest. There is no matter, there is no persistence, no continuation of anything through time, and reality is energy. And also, if I would have continued the quote, we would know that reality is atomic, composed of the basic building blocks that I just mentioned. We will see today that this is in stark agreement with what quantum physicists have discovered, and for that reason, Buddhism and Buddhist atomism may be scientific, therefore not metaphysical pursuits as are often labeled in American culture at least. If so, most interestingly of all, nirvana, which is the direct experience of quantum reality. Yes, I did say that right. That will surprise some people. Nirvana is not a philosophy primarily, but a science, an empirical study. For that reason, I won't use the word nirvana today. I'll use the phrase nirvanic empiricism. I'll talk about nirvanic observers being in a state of nirvanic empiricism, for example. Quantum reality, again, for those of you who aren't familiar, that again is the ultimate fundamental level of everything. Where these atoms, basic building blocks, well, I'll call them Buddhist atoms here in a second, they make up everything, and when we refer to quantum reality, we just mean that domain of nature. So, if you could cut apart the lectern enough, you'd run into these things eventually. Quantum reality can be experienced indirectly by physicists in the lab, as we all know. Okay? But little known in Western culture, there's another way to experience quantum reality, and that is through Buddhist meditation, often called mindfulness. There's many names, many different variations of Buddhist meditation. But the experience of quantum reality is only fully nirvanic. It is only fully nirvanic empiricism in Buddhist mindfulness meditation. So, calling this empirical probably will make some people scratch their heads. But I use the word empirical, not necessarily in the way that is largely used in our culture. In our culture, the word empirical typically means experience of something outside oneself. So the blackness of the screen here is empirical to me. It is outside me, and I apprehend it with my senses. But if I close my eyes and imagine it now, I'm told by most empiricists in philosophy today that it's not empirical. I find that odd. I find that odd for two reasons. First of all, because I'm not just thinking about the same wall that I was just looking at a second ago. So why can't I call that empirical experience? Just because it derives only from my mind seems that I should call it empirical. And another reason that it's strange is because if I look at the wall here, or look at the blackness on the screen, all that's going on in the traditional scientific picture is the light enters my eyes and triggers my nervous system to create a map inside me of reality. So we go through our lives looking at reality by constructing maps of reality in our minds. So really, in a sense, everything is inner. All of our experience of reality is just trapped and wound up in our own consciousness. This has been avoided in Western philosophy for a long time. except for a few philosophers, such as William James and his philosophy of radical empiricism, where you take as being empirical anything that appears in consciousness. Whether you close your eyes and imagine a blue dragon, or open your eyes and look at the blackness on the screen there, both are just pieces of experience, so both are just considered empirical. Okay, so there's a lot more I could say about that, but I think I'm just going to keep going because I want to make sure I do what I need to do here today. Okay, so we will study, I'm going to hereafter refer to the quantum reality and the basic building blocks that I'm referring to as Buddhist atoms or as abstract atoms. I'm just going to use those interchangeably, and you'll see why here pretty quick. And we need to thoroughly explore that to get a handle on what the point is of all this discussion of Buddhist atomism. And you'll see that this leads to enormous implications for all of our lives, especially, believe it or not, for our social lives and how we live together as people. Buddhist atomism leads to social activism, in addition to things like nirvanic empiricism and so forth. So I'll cover as much as I've got a lot of time, so great. I'll cover as much as I can. Okay, Buddhist atomism is reductionistic. That means that if I hold up a pen, the pen really, in a sense, doesn't exist. What exists are atoms, whether you can see them or not. The Buddhist atoms that I'm talking about, the ultimate constituents of reality. The fact that you can't see them is a problem with you, not with the pen. It's a problem with your perception being not crude enough to see reality as reality really is. And if you doubt this position, all you need to do is consult the quantum physicist, and they will tell you, well, yes, it is, if we do tear apart this pen enough, we will find something that sounds a lot like the Buddhist atomisms that Jeff is here talking about.